Welcome back to the Board of County Commissioners, our workshop meeting. It's 2 o'clock, and it's time for a report on the Advisory Commission on Women. And I'm happy to welcome our Advisory Board representatives. Chief Duren, looks like you're the master of ceremonies here.
On a Women's Commission issue?
The softer side.
Good. It's okay. Good afternoon, Mayor, Vice Mayor. I have with me Pam Guerrero, Director of the Office of Equal Opportunity, Michelle McGovern, Chair of the Advisory Commission on Women. Also have the Vice Chair, Jana Pangaritas, who's the Vice Chair, and Jean Williams, representing the Attorney's Office. The purpose of this meeting is to discuss, the activities of the commission and what they have done during the past year. So I hand it over to the chair.
Good afternoon. My name is Michelle McGovern. I'm honored to be the chair of the Palm Beach County Commission on the Status of Women. I would say, in your packet, you have a brief summary of some of the work we've been doing, plus our minutes for the past year and a half almost now. I would say that COVID has been a major challenge for us as a commission. We have been working off of the study, the countywide study that was done just before the COVID shutdown, focusing in on the needs of women in Palm Beach County. We did spend some time recently, about 6 months ago, we had all of our partner agencies. We've been able to tap into a lot of the nonprofits in the county who deal in women's issues, who work on women's issues, and to ask them sort of in the depths of this COVID pandemic, what have you found are the biggest needs? And one of the needs that came out of our initial study was, domestic violence and helping to protect women. And we saw a stark increase in incidences of domestic violence throughout this pandemic. And so we decided to sort of rearrange. We were going to start with healthcare as a possible community discussion, and we pivoted to domestic violence as a focus. And we actually, as a result of that, connected with some pretty bright young ladies at Dreyfus School of the Arts and brought them to the county offices, which name just went right out of my head. The Victim Services, to Victim Services. And we gave them a tour, and what we decided was one of the things what Victim Services told us is one of the things that they need is more creative ways to access the women who need their services. And so we decided that a video would be helpful, a video that would be added to the website, a video that also could be accessible, let's say, on Instagram and on TikTok and on other means of social media, that just shows you how to access victim services in the first place. And so we were able to produce a first of what we hope to be many videos that will help assist victim services in their endeavors to be able to connect with women digitally. And in addition to that, and I'll show you that video in just a second, I think, in addition to that, we have, we've been a little challenged with COVID and also, being part of the broader county government. What exactly can we do? Where should we focus? How should we? And you can imagine a group of women as connected, and we definitely have some amazing women on our committee. We've all kind of been trying to figure out what's the right focus for our commission. So we've tapped into Rita Barreto, who is known to be an administrator who comes in, and I worked with her at the Homeless Coalition when we were looking for some direction on getting focused. And so she's going to come see us this fall for us to, look at what the State Commission on Women is doing, what they're doing in Miami-Dade, and then really help us to focus in. And so we're looking forward to that as well. And so with that, I will show you the video, I think. Are we able to? Yes, it's a brief video.
Good morning. Thank you for calling Victim Services. My name is Dee. How can I help you today? Okay, can you tell me if you've been a victim of a violent crime? Okay, so I'd like to be able to transfer you to an advocate who will be able to further assist you, but I'd like to ask you a few more questions before I do that. Can you tell me the correct spelling of your first and last name? Thank you. Are you able also to give me your phone number in case we're disconnected and tell me what city you live in? Okay, thank you. So I'm going to now transfer you to Star, who's going to be able to help you.
Our plan is to do a series of those kinds of videos. It's something you'd encounter on TikTok or on Instagram. We are in the process of translating it into Spanish and Creole as a resource for victim services, and that was done by 2 high school students in the video production program at Dreyfus. And with that, we'll open it to any questions. Ms. Panaritis, anything we should add?
I'll just say that since that has been released, and our plan to augment what Michelle said is to have these videos distributed not just among folks we know and our social channels, but the channels that each of the agencies have as part of their mission. So we really want to take advantage of our own personal connections and push these out. And to that end, I was grateful that Commissioner Weiss allowed me to have this video included in his last newsletter, which we included, and we would like to be able to do that in subsequent issues. Since the time of this video, I have met with the executive director of Compass and another individual at Compass. We had a virtual meeting, and they're working on producing a role-playing script similar to this short because intimate partner violence, of course, affects members of all communities. And so that is in the works. Just to let you know, hopefully we will get that done as well pretty soon, but that's just something else we're doing.
And one more item of note, the Florida Commission on the Status of Women will be meeting here in Palm Beach County next week, and so we also plan to participate in that.
Oh, I do want to say one more thing, sorry, and then I'll keep quiet. It's my understanding that this resolution does sunset in February of 2023. So should you wish to continue with this commission, advisory commission, it would have to be renewed. Thank you.
That's why she's the vice chair. She keeps us in line. Thanks, Jenna.
Michelle, can you just give me an idea of, I mean, the Commission on Women, that's such a broad subject. Have you been able to sort of focus in on, obviously, victim services is an area that I'm sure you have attention, but are there specific areas that you've tried to, focus your attention?
I think that's part of the reason why we're going to bring Rita on board, because that's been one of our challenges, both with the fact that COVID has been continues, and doing big public meetings were not necessarily what we needed to be doing. We thought about doing like a town hall or something, and every time we'd have a big idea, we'd kind of that's not going to work for one reason or another. And so we know that in Miami-Dade they have a very successful Commission on the Status of Women, and then the Florida Commission on the Status of Women. Now both of those have funding behind them that helps support them. I'm not ready to ask for that quite yet, but I do want us to figure out, with the Sunshine Law and with, you all know the challenges of trying to make that all work, and with, we want to be a resource to women the way the State Commission is a resource to women, or at least in providing information about what the needs are for women in the community. We know from our study before COVID that the needs were things that you would imagine. It's child care, it's domestic violence, it's access to housing. Those are some of the biggest issues that we were able to find in our first study. And we need to be able to take that information and be a resource to the community, and we're working on figuring that out. We're new, right? I think it's only 3 years. How many years old are we now? 6? 4 years old. So we're getting there. And most of that has been COVID, so.
When you say women, what is your target as far as age? Are you talking about people who are in high school as the women in your group that you're trying to focus on, or? we
I
talk-
think we're talking about the needs of all women. I think, sure, 18 and above for sure, but, we're talking about the needs of single moms. We're talking about the needs of senior women. We're talking about the needs of all ages, regardless of race, ethnic and cultural background, and socioeconomic status. But we definitely want to be able to identify what the needs of women are in order to be able to communicate to you as you make decisions, in order to communicate to nonprofits as they move forward. That's the resource we need to be as a commission, and we're getting there.
Let me just point you at one issue that was brought to my attention by the Educational Foundation. They're having an issue with, especially the older students, with feminine hygiene products that they're just not able to access, that it's either a matter of supply chain or inability to afford, and this means that a lot of the women are unable to attend classes during periods of the month when they need those products. So I don't know if that's something that you are able to embrace, or if this is something that's even within your scope.
One of the conversations that we definitely have had over the past several meetings is around just simply finding a landing page for all of the organizations that are out there, that do that work. The Junior League does that work. There's all kinds of diaper drives being done by other organizations. And, even if we could just, find a way that you could find those resources in one landing page, that right there could be a huge resource, not only to women, but to all kinds of organizations who are looking to help people.
Very good. Commissioner McKinley?
Thank you. Ms. McGovern, I hope this is the first of many times we see you sitting up this way at the County Commission meeting. Thank you for being here today, to all of you. So the first thing I would like to do before I make my comments is give staff direction to bring back a resolution authorizing the renewal of the Advisory Commission on Women.
Without objection?
And I recognize, and part of the reason for doing that is you did lose 2 years, basically. And I know it was a struggle for you oftentimes to conduct your meetings because of quorum issues and how that quorum was interpreted, and a little bit of not understanding or not understanding what I had envisioned this group to be, and kind of feeling that out for yourself. And I think you guys are on the right path. When I look at women's issues, particularly over the last 2 years, you just have to look at the data. You have to know that COVID directly impacted women far more than it did men, particularly in the workplace. They were the ones that gave up their jobs to be home raising their kids while the kids were being taught virtually, the most affected by childcare closures, and then trying to figure out a way to balance that to get back into the workforce, to find those childcare slots. And now we're looking at potentially damaging decisions that are about to come down, whether it be on family planning and how a woman controls her decisions to make those choices. But also, sitting on the governor's desk right now is an alimony reform bill that has significant impacts in it when you start to talk about not just the alimony, but when you start to talk about presumption of child visitation. And where you start at 50-50 would eliminate child support for a lot of women as well. And those issues, and you're looking at, you alluded, I'll say it because I'm a woman, the tampon shortage right now, and the maxi pad shortage right now, and how women are handling that. That's 5 to 7 days of missed school or work per month if a woman can't access those critical resources. And I know I reached out to Ms. Baker after those news reports started coming out to see if there's a way we can stockpile some of those materials for at least the county employees we have, to make sure that if they can't find it, they can access it here and not miss work. So I know she's exploring that option. And then even formula shortages. It just seems like everything that is going on right now is impacting women the most. I had a conversation with some of your counterparts up in Okaloosa County. Todd Bonlaren and I participated on a call with the chair of their Commission on Women chairwoman. and some of their local leaders, and they hosted a women's summit. And I know that we just did one at Commissioner Sacks' request. We did the one on housing and transportation. And before I term out of this office in November, I would like us to host a women's summit, building upon the work that you're trying to do on your advisory board, but really getting some direction from the community and some issues that you can then run with, rather than having you guys trying to do all of that legwork. So I would like to ask that staff work with me in putting together a women's summit sometime this fall.
That would be great. I will say this, we do know that the Florida Commission on the Status of Women is about to hire a consultant company to do a statewide study on what the needs of women are. They had done a study and felt like that there needed to be a broader sampling size. And so I've been assured by the chairwoman, who is a Palm Beach County community leader, Sophia Exton, to work with us on sharing that data, particularly for Palm Beach County.
Yeah, that would be fabulous, and I'll tell you, they did one not that long ago, and Commissioner Weiss is doing the good work on the Juvenile Justice Advisory Board, but their study that commission did on gender inequities within the juvenile justice system led to some tremendous reform, and so there's a lot of power behind those studies. I think if we could we could combine our community feedback and be able to give that to them as they put that study together, it would be beneficial to. Every county in this state is different, and everyone's needs are different. I think being able to provide our local input would be a tremendous asset to that study.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you both for being here today, and thank you to the other members of your commission and their willingness to serve our community. I very much appreciate you sharing the video again here today, and very pleased. I guess my questions to you, are you planning to share that video with places like 211, our school district, and the local colleges?
The intention of the video was to be a resource to victim services to share as they would
Okay.
like. But absolutely, sure we could share it with 211 and some of our other partners.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Commissioner Marino?
Thank you for being here. Quick question. How does our community find out about the advisory committee? It's such a horrible acronym, COW, Commission on Women, but do you all have do you have a website? Do you have a web page that is involved with the county? How does someone find out more about you and the works that you're doing?
Right now, it's publicly noticed, and we did talk about could we have our own website, but at the with the county and all the services you all provide, if everyone had their own website, it would get a little bit hectic. It is a publicly noticed meeting. It's a publicly noticed meeting. I was just thinking.
So
we
the
could
only
have
way someone would find out about you is if they saw a meeting notice, but it doesn't tell anybody in the public what you all are trying to accomplish or are accomplishing.
Because they have no sources behind them.
Pamela Guerrier, Director with the Office of Equal Opportunity. We have the pleasure of being the liaison department for this member body. The information on ACW, we like to call it, Advisory Commission on Women. I know every board is an advisory commission, but we like to call it ACW for various reasons. That information is put on our website. We have a website that specifically says boards and committees, and we put all of the ACW's meeting minutes, notices, and everything there. We do press releases whenever the ACW is doing any type of function, so that information is pushed out to the public.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Bernard?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to make sure I get it's ACW.
Yes,
So,
please, and thank you.
Thank you very much to the chair, Michelle McGovern, and the vice chair, and all the members of the commission. I do support Commissioner McKinley on the Women's Summit and also the reauthorization. And I did send a text to my staff, so in that way we can also send the video through our newsletter that we do send out. So whatever that we can do to assist, to provide support, we're willing to. Thank you.
Thanks,
Very
Commissioner.
good. Thank you, Commissioner. On the issue of the summit, I certainly would also endorse that, but my thought is that we should be a little bit different than the format we had at the Economic Summit, and rather just being a lecture, have maybe small group breakout sessions, invite vendors in that could be able to teach the women what services are available through the county and nonprofits. So I think that there's certainly an opportunity there, but I think that the format we had previously would not really be conducive to what would be practical, and I have no problem with the reauthorizing.
25 years in the junior league, I'm pretty good at putting those types of events together, so we're on the same page.
Okay, very good.
Years of running a nonprofit, yeah.
Yes, agreed.
All right, I thank you very much. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Just one more thing. I can't, I'd be remiss if I did not thank staff. Ms. Guerrier has been a tremendous resource to us, and the county attorney's office as well, attending our meetings. Sometimes very strong-minded women are not easy to corral, and so I just want to say a special thank you to staff for all of their support and patience with us. But we are proud of the work that we're doing and look forward to doing more.
Very good. Well,
Thank you very much.
thank you very much for coming and updating us.
Thank you for hearing us.
All right, well, we have a little bit of a gap here, and I double-checked with our Assistant County Administrator, and he feels that we should wait till 3 o'clock, so in case anybody is coming for the Farm Workers Program Advisory Board update. But that being said, before you run away, I'll take commissioners' comments or appointments or anything that might be on your mind. Commissioner Bernard, are you able to go home tonight?
Yes, I am. But I do not have any comments.
Commissioner Kerner?
No comments.
Thank you. Commissioner McKinley?
Yeah, since we've got a window of opportunity here, there's been some articles in the newspaper recently about the two most dangerous intersections in Palm Beach County. I believe one of them is in Commissioner Bernard's district, the other is in mine. Forest Hill and 441, and then I think it's Atlantic at Military. And I wouldn't mind some information from staff on planned improvements to those intersections. I think they may be state roads, but if we could get some sort of update from FDOT on what they're doing to improve the safety at those intersections, please.
County Administrator will follow up on that for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Marino?
None at this time.
Okey doke. Vice Mayor?
I just wanted to share some, I think, really positive news. Last week, well, actually, the story goes back a couple weeks ago, was contacted via somebody posting on Facebook. We had an elderly resident in Palm Beach County who, big baseball fan, now living in an assisted living facility, and was just, would love to have gone to a baseball game, but unfortunately physically was no longer able to, but wanted to see if something, people in the community could come together and do something. And so in addition to my response in trying to see what we could do to help give him a special day, we have in our community Will Middlebrooks, who played for the Boston Red Sox. And Mr. Middlebrooks agreed to come out and spend some time not only with the resident that we were doing this event for, but for all the residents in the facility that were able to come down and spend some time together. And they had a whole baseball theme. They had hot dogs and popcorn and Cracker Jacks, and they set up a little baseball diamond, and Will was pitching a blow-up ball, and the residents were able to take a few swings. But it was so nice to see Mr. Middlebrooks and his wife were there, and just trying to give back to the community, make these folks' lives a little bit brighter, and it was just a real pleasure and a privilege to be a part of it. And I just want to thank Mr. Middlebrooks and his wife so much for their willingness to participate.
Thank you. I'll just finish up by saying there was a very well-attended ceremony in Delray Beach this weekend in tandem with Juneteenth, where several of us were privileged to be there. Back in 1926, on September 26th, one of our residents by the name of Mr. Samuel Nelson, who happened to be black, was lynched in Delray Beach. And he was lynched because there was a white mob that thought that he had done something to dishonor a woman in the neighborhood, and they went and they beat down the door of the jail, and they pulled him out of there, and they strung him up. And this is certainly a part of our history that is not something we're proud of, but is something that we obviously need to learn from and recognize. And I think the ceremony that we participated in Delray Beach was very appropriate, and it took the history of what had happened and used it for a learning opportunity. And I commend the people of Delray Beach. I commend DeRitt Miller, who was very instrumental in putting together that program. And I think it was a way of making Juneteenth more appropriate and more understanding of why we're celebrating the emancipation of the blacks in our community. And again, I applaud the people who put that together. I know our county administrator had a lot to do with making sure that that went on, and we're going to have how are we going to be handling the monument for Mr. Nelson? Is that something that's going to be brought here from where it is in Georgia right now, or how is that going to?
It's one monument, and yes, it will be brought here. It has both names on it, Mr. Nelson as well as a gentleman that's in the city of
Henry
West Palm.
Simmons was the other one, right?
So both of their names will be on there, and we're working now to find the location that we can centrally hang the one monument, and then make sure we've got the education component also surrounding it. So we'll be working with the school board, and depending on where it's actually located, the city of West Palm or Delray, as we continue to move forward. But we are working with the city of West Palm so that we can also hold the ceremony for the other gentleman involved. I do want to personally thank Dorrit. I gave it to her, she ran with it. She did an outstanding job. And our Parks and Rec department, Jennifer Cirillo, was also very helpful, all of our staff. And our volunteer community, some of them volunteered, others were voluntold, and they all did a really, really bang-up job for us. So we're all excited about it.
And of course, Vice Mayor Weiss and Commissioner Bernard presented the proclamation that this body had unanimously approved, and I think that that was well received. So on that note, we're going to take a recess for about a half hour, and we'll be back at 3 o'clock.